Now, the Special Investigating Unit has welcomed an order granted by the Special Tribunal, freezing the bank accounts of companies and individuals allegedly involved in the personal protective equipment corruption scandal. It further indicated that the Government Employee Pension Fund and Government Pensions Administration Agency from disbursing any money to the Gauteng Health Department's Chief Financial Officer, who has also resigned. Now, the matter will also be heard on the 6th of October 2020. To our next story now. For more, of course, on that, we are joined by the SIU's spokesperson, who is Kaizer Kganyago. It's a good afternoon to you, Kaizer. Thank you so much for the time. Let's perhaps run through very quickly just the steps taken that led to the decision to freeze a reported 40 accounts. Why don't you just take us through that?
Thank you very much, Rabile, and thank you to your viewers. What basically happened is when we were starting with the investigation in the Gauteng Health Department, we were tracing certain companies that had business with the department, and then one of these accounts or the companies got an amount of 38 million rands into the account, even after we had started the investigation and we had said to them that we are flagging some of these companies. And when that money got in, it immediately was taken out of those accounts and spread to all these accounts that we are talking about today. Therefore, we felt at that point that we needed to freeze this amount of money before it can be used. And we talked to the Financial Intelligence Center to do that for us, which they did for 10 days while we were preparing documents to go to the Special Tribunal. We did the case was heard yesterday, and all the order was granted for all these companies that benefited from this 38 million that was put into the company Ledla. So that we are able to then freeze them in there until we are done with the investigation. On the 6th of October, what needs to happen is that all of these companies must come and tell the court why we should not continue freezing those amounts in the account. And that can be heard on the 6th of October.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the role of the media as well in how the SIU conducts its investigation. What exactly is the role that we should be playing in all of this?
All our investigations are allegation-based. Therefore, if there are allegations that are out there, people must talk to us. Therefore, you as the media have to then work with us to make sure that the public who are at the cold front of this corruption are given opportunities and information to come to the SIU with evidence so that we are able to then follow that evidence. In this particular instance of the COVID-19 irregularities, it is good because we have already done the proclamation process. Therefore, we are not going to have the delay of going through the proclamation process because the proclamation process is done and it encompasses everything that has happened within this lockdown or the state of disaster. Therefore, all we need is information and evidence around that information, and we will go after each and every person that would have done wrong to make sure that we recover the money that they have unduly taken from the people of South Africa.
It looks like it's a total of over 5 billion rand in this COVID spend that we are investigating by the SIU. Are you saying that all of it can be recovered, or as much of it can actually be recovered? Is that the plan?
Yes, the plan is to recover as much as we can. For now, with the allegations that we have before us, that was as at 2 days ago when we presented to SCOPA. We were having contracts to the value of about just over 5 billion rand, and at that time we were investigating about 648 companies. But obviously on the same day I was in Limpopo, and the Premier of Limpopo forwarded to us 3 government departments, which is health, education and COCTA, plus that Mkuku project that they did. Therefore, that in itself can bring about another 100 cases, and we are also getting a lot of allegations on a daily basis, and we want to then make sure that we push them as quick as possible. But one thing that we are very clear about is we are not going to wait for the end product at the end where we do the report. When we find criminality now, we open cases against you like we've done with Gauteng. We've opened cases against 3 companies, and that is now with the police for them to deal with, and we have now referred that to the NPA. Where we find that people have done something wrong that needs for them to be disciplined, we have done so with again with Gauteng, where 2 officials were already flagged, and one of them is the CFO who had already resigned. And we then realized that we wanted to get her money back from pension so that she can use the money. We went to the tribunal, which helps us to deal with these cases speedily, and we have freezed that amount. Therefore, she cannot take that amount until we are done with the investigation.
All right, so I mean that was actually going to be my next question, really, around the Gauteng Health CFO's accounts being frozen then at this stage. So as you said, cannot take any money from that. At the same time, though, there are certain other companies that are still under investigation. How many weeks have you got left to complete this investigation then, Kaizer?
I don't think we have a deadline to complete the investigation. All we have is a deadline to report to the president. We are going to report to the president on the first week of September. I think it's around about the 3rd of September, which will be the end of the first 6 weeks. All that the president wants is the update of where we are, and we are ready to give him that update. And then we will, from there going forward, report to him every 6 months. You can't give a deadline to this kind of investigation because you don't know what you're going to find. But also, we are getting new allegations on a daily basis. Therefore, it is not going to be something that will have a clean deadline to say by this time we should be.
Kaizer Kganyago, you can, I'm sure, appreciate as well that South Africans will certainly also want answers themselves, because they've also been quite angered by what has certainly happened in this regard. So hopefully, despite there being no deadline, we can certainly expedite this one and get it speedily done. And hopefully some answers can be put forward, even to average South Africans, who, of course, this money is also owed to in many respects when it comes to PPE. But really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you so much for it. Kaizer Kganyago is the Special Investigative Unit's spokesperson. There, of course, the investigation into personal protective equipment corruption that continues to take the fore, and a few cases now in where we've seen frozen accounts as well, around 40 as well, a number of companies even being as well barred from doing any more business. So we'll continue to give you that story as and when it happens.